Alexis. And Alexis is our onboarding specialist. So I have these guys kind of as my backup crew today, because if there's a couple questions you have and I can't personally answer it, they will be here to assist you. So I will go through a very quick presentation giving you some details about working for campus dining. If a question pops up, feel free to type it in the chat function, and at the end we will tackle those questions. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Give me just a second. All right, you should be able to see my screen, and you guys are all here to learn about working for campus dining. Wonderful. I want to give you a little background about us, because a lot of you may not know our kind of mother company, or our overarching company is called Chartwells Higher Education. And we are at 300 campuses around the country, and we hire about 1,300 students each year to work on our campuses. This is just a very quick overview of Chartwells, if you've heard of it, but we are a sector of that on campus. And here's a little bit more information about us here, just specifically at FGCU. So we cover 16 different dining locations, and we do hire about 200 student associates every single year. And we're going to go through some of those perks that we offer as well. Now, we do have a lot of cross-training and manager in training opportunities as well. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind, especially if that is the route you are interested in going in. Here are the locations we have on campus. And for those of you that have been on campus, and I'm sure most of you have, you would know that we are definitely more of a resort style campus, and we have the food that definitely backs it up. So one of the great things about this campus, and something that is very fun for us, and I'm very proud of it, we have all of the top national brands on one campus. So even going around the state of Florida, you're not going to see a Chick-fil-A, Dunkin' Donuts, Einstein's, Jamba Juice, Starbucks, Boar's Head, and Papa John's all on the same campus, and we are one of the few that do. So definitely a very exciting opportunity. And these are all the different locations that you would have the opportunity to apply for an on-campus job for. So let's kind of go through that. We have a lot of perks, as I mentioned. We are not, we don't require any experience. So if this is your first job, or if maybe you've never worked in dining, not a problem. You will receive all of your training here on campus from our locations. One of the best perks, I think, especially as a student on campus, number one, you don't need a car because every location is located right here within walking distance, especially if you're living on campus. But we also offer flexible schedules. So managers will work with you. And if you're a parent on here, with your student, of course, within reason and with plenty of notice. So if you have midterms coming up, or if you have finals or something that pops up as far as school-based, you just talk to your manager and you'll be able to work that out. Something else that I love and I rather enjoy as a part of a perk being a manager on campus, but you do get an $8 meal for every shift, every 5-hour shift you work. So that's something that's very exciting. So you come into work, you work your 5-hour shift, you break for lunch, and you get to go eat for free on campus. And the final thing on the slide is that we supply uniforms. And I think this is important right now, especially in our new kind of COVID world, but we have a lot of safety precautions across all of our dining locations. And if you've kind of heard me speak this summer, you would have heard a lot of those. But to quickly go over that, so you know, from an associate standpoint, we have several precautions in place. We are putting up plexiglass barriers at all of our registers and at our food pickup locations to keep our associates safe. All of our associates will be checking their temperature before they clock in at every shift. And we're going to be giving 2 reusable masks, really nice ones, that will be required as part of the uniform moving forward. You know, we are, you know, putting down social distancing decals and things like that, but in the back of the house, which all of you would be seeing on a regular basis if you work for us, we will have kind of like home bases where you will kind of like your own social distance area, kind of like where you would stand if you're not moving around your area, your workstation. We also have added a lot of sanitation stations across all dining rooms and back at the house locations. So those are just a few, just to kind of give you some information on what we're doing in this new kind of atmosphere. So here are the next steps if this sounds like something that you are interested in. And here in a minute, I'm actually going to give you the job titles that we are looking for specifically, but very important, you want to grab your class schedule, have it handy, because when we talk to you or you come in for an interview or we do something possibly over the phone or virtually, we're going to need your class schedule. The way we hire on campus, of course, is just like any other employer, is that we have certain time slots that we have to fill. So we want to make sure that that's something that fits within your class schedule. You're going to apply via a link that you're going to see here on one of the next couple slides. And please only apply to one position. And I'm going to say that probably a few times just to make sure it's clear. If you are not placed in your first choice location, so say you're interested in being a barista and possibly working at Starbucks, if you're not able to work there based on, maybe your class schedule or what we're looking for, we will try to get you in maybe a second or third location. Now that brings me to my next point. So something I should have mentioned earlier, one of the other perks of working for campus dining is that you are not necessarily only working for one location. We are 16 locations and we all work together. So that is something that, one semester if you work at Jamba Juice and we have an opening for a different position, maybe at Chick-fil-A, that could be something that you could kind of work towards or you could cross-train into as well. So some of those different opportunities that you would not necessarily have at a store restaurant kind of sets us apart on campus. The final point on the slide is the interview and onboarding process. Be prepared after you apply to the link here in the next few slides. Be prepared for a preliminary phone interview, usually with Alexis, possibly Mike behind me as well. And then based on the meeting our hiring requirements, we'll contact you and start that onboarding process. Usually for students who are not in the local area, you will not start until after you have your move-in date. So if that's a question that you're thinking, no worries about that as well. So what's available? This is the important information. Go ahead and take a picture of this slide and I'll have you take a picture of the next slide as well. You can apply, again, only one of these positions, please, but food service worker or cashier. So that's like a general associate and or a cashier, pretty self-explanatory. A utility worker, which is more dish room, wiping down tables, and in this new kind of COVID world, we have sanitation concierges at all of our locations. So these are people that are 100% dedicated to sanitizing our locations from top to bottom every few minutes. So pretty much you're kind of on a cycle about every half an hour kind of sanitizing. We're also looking for cooks, and that could include being a prep cook, a line cook, or a grill cook. And again, we will train you here. So if that sounds like something that you may be interested in, let us know and we can, get you with our campus executive chef and we can train you with our location cooks as well. So something, kind of fun to look forward to. And I'm going to skip the next one, but go down to the barista. So this is kind of a location specific job position. And this is pretty much for Einstein, Starbucks, or Dunkin' Donuts. So if you're looking for a barista specifically position for a coffee shop, you would want to apply here. And then going back up to that supervisor. Now, the reason I skipped it is just because previous experience and experience managing associates is required to do a supervisor position. So if you're not quite sure if that's the way to go, you would want to probably apply to one of the others, and then during your phone preliminary interview, maybe talk to Alexis and mention that as well. Okay, now here is a very important slide, and what I would like to do is send this out via email. If you are not currently on my distribution list or have not currently been corresponding with myself or Alexis or possibly Mike, please send me a private chat with your email information, and I will go ahead and send this out to you directly, so it's much easier. You just click the link and apply. So here are the links, as I mentioned, for each one of those. Please only apply to one, and we will place you kind of from there. So again, if you have not been in contact with us, maybe I don't have your email, you're not on my distribution list yet, please send me a private message with your email, and I will go ahead and send this out directly. Okay. All right, so this is also very important information. Alexis, as I mentioned, who is sitting right over here, she is our onboarding specialist, and this is her email information, her phone number, and where her office is located at the start of school. So very important information. Go ahead and take a picture of this. If you have any questions for her, you can really contact her directly. If you have questions after this session and you didn't have a chance to ask during the chat, not a problem. You can always just give her a quick call and she'll take care of you as well. All right, let's go ahead, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can answer some questions. And I think we have a few popped up here. Okay, we have some. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing your emails. Are there any questions for the group? Can you guys, and you can unmute yourself if you're comfortable with just asking questions. That's perfectly fine too. But I know this was a rather quick presentation, but we do have a lot of great positions available. And like I said, we usually hire about 200 students per year. So it's definitely a fun place. All right, so Janet asks, what info does my son need to bring for onboarding? Oh, wonderful, that's a good question. Okay, Alexis.
When it's time to onboard, it'll be included in an email just in case you forget, but you'll need your social, your date of birth, you'll need a record, like your ID, so that I can verify with your background checks. Of course, your school schedule, just so that you can reference that and let your manager know. But for the most part, just those 3 things, and then you'll be set and ready to get all your onboarding completed.
Awesome. And she does send out, she's really great about sending out reminders if you're getting ready to onboard with kind of like a checklist of what to bring. Awesome question, Janet. Any other ones out there? Any location specific questions that we can maybe tackle? Oh, Alexandra, very good question. With your $8 per shift meal, can that only be used at your location or all of them? So Mike, I'm gonna pass that to you.
Yeah, the $8 meal per 5 hours of a shift can be used basically anywhere on campus, but it is designed for a meal. It's not designed to go and buy candy bars and soda and stuff like that. It is meal specific, but any of the locations you can use it.
Yeah, so any location. And then Taylor also had a question. How quickly should we expect the phone interview after applying?
That's a really good question.
10 minutes.
Yeah, probably. At this point, every person who applies, I get an email notification as soon as it becomes available, and I usually call within the next 5 minutes. So just to give, because I know pretty soon we're going to have a lot of people coming through, so just to give myself some time, give me about a week, and you'll hear, if you send an application on Monday, you'll hear from me by Friday.
Awesome. And as she gets kind of acclimated back, because of course we're bringing our associates back right now, as she gets acclimated, it'll get a little quicker too. Caitlin asks, do we have to have a resume to apply?
That's a yes.
Okay.
It does ask for your resume. It will give you an option to upload it if you're not sure how to make a resume and you would like some help, I'm willing to help you out with a rough draft as well.
Awesome. So one thing to keep in mind, so because kind of going back to, we don't require any like work experience. So if this is your first job going into it, call Alexis because she can help you write a resume that includes a lot of things that maybe you did in high school. So if you had volunteer hours and things like that, those would be things that you would include on your resume for that.
Tara, students can also call the Career Development Office, and we have career advisors that can help students with all those details as well.
Even better.
And we even have lots of resources on our website. So if you go to the Career Development Services webpage, you can get all that information as well.
Absolutely. Awesome. So Evan asks, when you mentioned cross-training from one job to another, are we transferring to that new job? Or are we still working both? So do you want to answer that?
Yeah, what we mean by cross-training is that you may well be, let's say, for example, if you're there as a cashier, but you have an interest in a different position. A lot of units, what we'll do is we'll double people up. So, you know, you may be doing a cashier for a couple of days out of the week and then cross-train into, for example, if it's a boar's head making sandwiches. And it also helps us out because if for some reason we're short in an area, you're able to help us double up and cover those shortages.
Awesome. And Janet asks, if you have experience, do you want or need references?
References are always going to be a benefit to you. We do like for you to list references, especially if you have experience, because it kind of gives us that previous notification that you might be quicker to train on site. So yes.
Great questions, guys. I love this. And going back to kind of what Evan brought up about, going from one unit to the next, again, I think that's a perk. And maybe for this next, the next information session that we have in August, I'm going to add that in because I think that's a really neat thing. When you go to a store, like a street store, Starbucks, you apply and you work only at Starbucks. And if you want a job somewhere else, you have to apply to another place and be hired there as well. But here on campus, it's a little different because we run all 16 locations on campus. So you have the opportunity to leave campus after 4 years of working for us and possibly knowing, 5 or 6 different brands, which is definitely something different than working at a street store. Alexandra writes, when we apply for the jobs, will the pay be different for each one, or will we be able to see what the pay is? Ooh, good question. I don't know. Who wants to take this? Okay.
So when you go to apply for a job, you should see it rate. Now, depending on what you're looking for, and after you speak with the manager, depending on your experience and everything, you might change that. But it should list when you're applying what the pay rate is, and so you can kind of get an idea before you send your application in.
Okay, so I know it's a little tough to hear because I have a couple people behind me, but I will kind of repeat what she said. She said, when you apply for the link, there is a range, right? Or does it say specifically? Sometimes it's a range, sometimes it gives a specific rate of pay. She said, though, based on your experience and when you have your interview and when you speak to your location manager, it may be a little different just based on, so if you have a lot of experience, they may start you a little differently. It just depends, but you're going to see kind of what the average or base pay would be based on the link. Great questions, guys. And I'm glad I brought my backup.
I think you have another one from Caitlin.
Oh, did I miss one?
Caitlin?
Oh, Caitlin, hey, when we leave for the summer, thank you, Mary. When come back for the next semester, would we still be employed at our job for when students return?
Yes, pretty much. During in between the semesters, whether it's fall into spring or spring into fall, if you have that position, then that position will be there for you when you return. Or if there's any any questions that you may be looking to transfer prior to that, that's something that to be discussed with the unit managers. And arrangements will be, if the transfer goes through, arrangements been made so when you come back, you can step right into it. But yeah, you don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of reapplying or any of that sort of stuff. So we try and make it as easy as possible for you.
That's a technical term, rigmarole.
That's an English term, sorry.
I love it.
There we go.
Is there a possibility you could work over summer as well? Oh, McKenna, great question. It's hard. It's kind of hard to say right now, but
yeah.
typically, you want to
typically yes. If we're open during orientations throughout the summer, we do have units which will be open throughout summertime, usually kind of Monday through Friday. So there is still a possibility to pick up work, yes.
Yes. And the reason we're kind of, giggling because it's so different. And right now, of course, as you guys have all been through this entire summer, it's been very, very different. And of course, moving forward, we're not quite sure what everything's going to look like. But in a typical year, yes, you would definitely have a possibility to work over summer. All right.
Tara, I have a question.
Yeah.
And maybe I just missed it because I was checking students in. You also do the working at the SOVI dining room. Was that part of the room, being a dining room worker?
Yeah. So that would be if you're interested in working in our residential restaurant, which is SOVI Dining, which is outside of all the South Village residence halls. You would apply to either being a utility worker or a food service worker in those links that I will send out. And we just got a question come in, will we be paid weekly or bi-weekly? And the answer to that is bi-weekly. Do you want to add anything to that?
No.
Okay. Bi-weekly.
Paydays are Fridays.
Yep. Speak very loud.
When you apply and you have a specific location that you're looking to work at, when I call you for the phone interview, you can just let me know that and I'll list it down so that I can let the area manager know that you're interested in working in that location.
Okay, so if you did have a little hard time hearing her, because I know I have a pretty small office and we're all kind of shoved in here, but if you are looking for a specific location, so if you're looking for Chick-fil-A or Starbucks or SOVI Dining, make sure to let Alexis know when she calls you for the phone interview, because then she can let the location manager know that you're looking for a specific area. That also goes for if you already have specific brand training. So say you've worked at Dunkin' Donuts for the last 2 years, let us know that too. It should be listed on your resume, but just in case, let us know, hey, I have dining experience, or I worked at Jimmy John's. And while we don't have a Jimmy John's here on campus, we do have a Boar's Head, which is very similar model. So just keep that in mind. And then Janet asks, can you pay via direct deposit of an existing bank account? And the answer to that is yes. And I think that Alexis will help set that up, right? During your onboarding, she'll set up your direct deposit. Wonderful. Any other questions out there? Okay, so next steps, I did get all of your emails, and I'm going to quickly take a picture of that to make sure that I have them. What I will do is directly after this, Alexis will send out an email to all of you with the links to apply. That way you have it, you can do it right away. And then we do have another one. How many hours does an average employee work each week? Oh, that's a good one.
A lot depends on yourselves. A lot depends on your class schedules as to what your availability is. We have some students who maybe only have 2 or 3 classes, but they're able to do anywhere from 20 to 30 hours. we don't look at what's a minimum. The maximum obviously is would be around about 35, which would be considered to be kind of like a full-time position. But there's very few doing that because it will be tough with your class schedules to try and balance both of those. But based on, like I said, based on your class schedule, we can work out how many hours a week would suit you, whether it's, you know, doing 3 5-hour shifts or doing, you know, 2 7-hour shifts. Based on our requirements too, we can kind of jigsaw everything together to make sure that everybody's happy and able to continue working without affecting your school life as well.
Mm-hmm. And I do think that's a perk of working with campus dining on campus, is that, you know, we know you're here for your education first. And that's why we said with plenty of notice, as long as you work really, really closely with your managers, keeping them kind of in the loop of what you have going on and making sure you have shift coverage and things like that, we will work with you wonderfully as far as that's concerned, because we want to make sure that you get a good education here at FGCU, of course, too. So Colton wrote, I applied yesterday and was curious at how long the process takes from applying to the first day of work. Now I will kind of start this off just because, and then I'll let Alexis kind of give you the kind of steps and the details. But Colton, at least for now, you would not start working. Our locations for fall, our on-campus locations do not open until August 17th, the very first day of class. Now, SOBI will open August 10th, and they are open the entire week of SOBI move-in. North Lake Village opens up Saturday, August 15th. And then, of course, like I said, everything else opens on the 17th of August. So that can be the first kind of step to that question. And Alexis, if you want to kind of go through like background check and all that stuff.
So once you've applied and you've been brought in for an interview and we decide to move forward with onboarding, the first thing you'll have to do is submit a background check, which can take anywhere from 2 to 3 business days to process. Once your background check clears, I will call you in, or before I would have called you in. Now I'll just have to send you the paperwork so that you can complete all of your onboarding virtually. And if you have any questions, I can get on the phone with you and kind of walk you through it. And then once that is all submitted, within the next day, if your manager needs you, you can start working.
So it is a pretty quick turnaround once the background check is completed.
Yeah.
So, and then a very good question from Evan, along the same lines of class schedules, do we take into consideration clubs, sports, or organizations? Again, we will work with and be flexible with your schedule based on any of those 3, but I do want to make mention that we definitely treat it as a job. So you have to be, you have to adhere to the rules and regulations of, you can't no call, no show, all of that stuff. But we would, if you work closely with your manager, and again, have that information prior to starting work. That kind of goes along with your class schedule. If you know you have a sports schedule, say you're a basketball player here and you would like to have a job on, some of the off days, make sure that you have your schedule there as well. Janet asks, is there a portal where students can see their schedule in advance? Mike, take that.
Yes, we've, all of the managers usually put up their schedules 2 or 3 days before the week starts. One of the things that the managers like to do is try and put someone on a set schedule. So that way, that if you're saying, listen, I can work Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, they'll try and every week have you on that Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at those times. That way, we're not second guessing, well, you have to keep checking. But we do have a online system where you're able to look up your schedule. You're able to look up if there are other schedule or other shifts which people are trying to cover. You can pick those up and use the app for that as well. That's something that when you come to onboarding and get with your managers, you'll be given all that information.
These are really great questions. I'll have to add some of this to my presentation for next time. Awesome. Well, we're about half an hour. Any other final questions? We're really excited, hopefully, to meet every one of you and get you placed here on campus, because we have a great family here at FGCU Campus Dining, and we absolutely love kind of sharing our knowledge with students and kind of helping them grow through their education in the 4 or 5 years. So we're very excited. So we're in 4.
There you go. Very good. That's great, Tara. Thanks, Mike, right? Mike?
Thank
And
you.
Alexis, thank you for being here today. We have one more question? Anyone have another? We don't want to leave you hanging. If you have a question, go ahead and shoot it out there. And then we'll probably let these folks go back to work. And we have another session next Wednesday. So if you didn't get the information that you needed, you're welcome to come next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And you can also tell your friends that there's another session if they're like, oh, darn, I missed it. There's still another opportunity. So we'll be here on the 5th of August. Can you believe it? The 5th of August already. Whew. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Thanks, Tara, for you and your crew. And I hope you got about 18 student workers right here with you
Awesome.
today.
We're very excited. Thank you guys for having us.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
rest-
everyone.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.